So you're looking for the best value to build your Commander deck.
Yes.
I am going to show you some of the best cards in Commander, and I'm also going to show you alternatives to the best cards in Commander, because honestly, what drives up Magic prices are really two things: the amount of times it's been printed and how sought after it is for Commander. And there are a lot of Commander staples that are very affordable, which we'll be highlighting, and there are also some cards that are going to break your budget. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Thank you for CardTrader for sponsoring this video. CardTrader is a global marketplace that connects buyers and sellers across the world. With their amazing platform to allow individuals or store owners to list any card that they want, which allows CardTrader to have an unmatched variety of anything that you could be looking for in the card gaming space. Whether you're looking for a very exclusive rare in your card game or you're looking to try something new, CardTrader has everything that you're gonna need. And that is because of their extensive collection for every single game. Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Have insane amount of cards to go through, so you can find anything that you might want. And if you ever have any questions on their site, they have an amazing support team that is willing to help you every step of the way. And arguably their best feature is CardTrader Zero, which basically acts as a PO box for you and gets every card there and significantly lowers the shipping cost of ordering multiple cards from different sellers. So if you want to order some cards through CardTrader, use my link in the description of this video and you can get 5% off your first sale using the coupon Rarran. And good luck buying some cards.
So I've actually gone through a bunch of common Commander categories, and I've given you like some budget options and some not so budget options. And to illustrate the point, I'm going to start with a very clear kind of analysis, I guess we'd say, for you. And you've seen these cards before, or at least you've seen one of these cards before, but we want to understand basically the price tag for Commander. So you know this one, right?
I think you showed me this like a really long time ago. Mana Drain, 2 blue instant counter target spell at the beginning of your next main phase at an amount of neutral mana equal to that spell's mana value. Okay, that hold on. Yeah, it's broken. It's broken. Yeah, sorry. Continue. What were you gonna say? Hold on.
Yeah, that is exactly what you said last time. That is exactly what you said last time.
You know what's crazy? I might have done it the first time too. I actually had to double take what I just read because I was like, is that actually real? Dude, now that I have so much context of like Magic the Gathering, like it's even more apparent how stupid this card is. And I would imagine that this card's worth a lot of money.
Well, it does tend to go that way.
Double Masters, $51.
Yeah.
What do you mean $51? Okay.
Dude, if we're really picky, we might get you 2 cards out of this deal. And then you'll only need 98 more for a Commander deck. Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah. So what the hell? What's the alternative?
I'll show you the alternative in a minute. I'm also going to highlight just some things.
Okay.
Playing the most powerful card at all times in Commander is not always what the format is about. This is a really tough thing if you come from 1v1 games.
Fair enough.
But for example, like, and this has happened to me. I was this player. You cast Mana Drain targeting the opponent's big spell. Not only is that player pissed, the other 2 players are terrified. And they are going to mess you up because they know you're about to get a bunch of free mana. And you might surge into the lead, but you're going to build a 3-way alliance against you, which is really hard to overcome.
Fair enough.
So here's a good, honest, we'll call it a counter spell.
Oh, okay. So this is counter spell, 2 blue mana. It's an instant and it's just says counter target spell. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe you could clarify this for me. This seems like a significantly worse card than the last one.
It's like a significantly worse card. It's a significantly worse card than the last one. But what it will do, it can, instead of making you the villain to the whole table, it makes you the villain to one player. The other 2 consider you a hero because you stop the big bad evil thing from happening and you're not jumping into a huge lead. Look up the price.
$2.65. Well, okay, first and foremost, before we even get to the price here, in Commander, like, so I would imagine this card sees more play because obviously it's cheaper and that's probably like a bigger deal.
Yep.
And I think I'm not 100% sure what the rate of just countering a spell is. 2 mana seems kind of reasonable, but you're paying $50 less pretty much. So that feels like a pretty good trade-off. right?
It is a good trade-off, yes. And a lot of it is budgeting. Like, how much are you willing to pay to get that extra mana to do that thing that jumps you way out in the lead and makes all of your opponents mad, right?
Right.
And it depends on how spiky you are and how spiky your play group is, I think. But Counterspell is significantly more played in Commander. In fact, Counterspell is in the top 50 cards played in Commander. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying I should get one of these?
I think that if you are on a budget and you are looking to get a Counterspell, you should start with something like Counterspell, not something like Mana Drain. 100%.
Okay.
There are also a lot of variations of Counterspell that might fit individual decks, but a just blue counter target spell is a good fair rate, and it can go in every single blue deck if you want it to. There's no blue deck that I don't think you'd want a Counterspell in.
Okay. So I'm gonna add that to the cart.
Yeah, that's the idea here. We're looking for the cards that can go everywhere that also meet the budget, right? So here's 3 cards. You don't even have to evaluate them. Just add them to the cart.
Soul Ring is 1 mana for basically adding 2 neutral mana. Absolutely insane card in my opinion. But I feel like you've told me this before. They like reprint a lot of these cards.
Yeah.
So this one I think is not going to be that expensive. I'm going to go with like $1.
Okay.
Let me see if I'm right.
I have a good feeling for you.
Okay, so this version is $1.77. It's a slightly different art, but yeah, I was pretty close. This is actually from the Duskmorn set. So, okay, I like the way they did this actually. That you could see it from different categories. Like, I don't have to keep looking it up. I can just change it.
If you decide to get more Soul Rings, you can get special arts for each different type of deck you want to build.
All right, so the version you sent me is $1.76. I was actually relatively close for, I would argue, one of the best cards in Magic the Gathering, as far as I'm aware.
God, yes. God, yes.
That seems like a pretty reasonable price, but that's just because they reprint these cards. What's the next one? Arcane Signet. Have you shown me this card before?
No, I haven't.
So 2 neutral, an artifact. You tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Is that good? I think that's, you said this is a staple? Really? Okay, interesting. I guess getting a mana for any color you want is worth the additional price on it. And this is a staple. This is really a staple?
Absolutely. So I am happy to get into like what an early turn of Commander is like. Almost every deck wants to ramp in Commander. Almost every deck wants to get more mana available to it early, because chipping away at your opponent with a 1 or 2 drop creature is so likely to be irrelevant, because everybody has 40 life, that it's much better to develop mana. Therefore, cards that let you develop mana, especially in any color that is relevant to you, are highly sought after, because Arcane Signet is an artifact. Green is usually the only color that has a lot of cards that ramp, but Arcane Signet can go in blue decks and black decks and red decks that don't usually have access to ramp. So yeah, every Commander deck out of the box, and in its first like 10 cards added, usually involves Arcane Signet.
This is absolutely interesting. Okay, I didn't realize like how relevant that really is. Okay, this one also seems like it'd be reprinted a ton. If this is a Commander staple, I'm gonna also go with probably like $1.
Yep.
64 cents. All
yeah,
right.
We're cooking.
Let's go, dude. Okay, I think if you showed me this card and I wasn't thinking about like Commander's like play pattern, like I would still think this card is absolutely garbage. But based on what you described, it makes
garbage. There's your thumbnail.
But Command Tower's the same thing, but you don't have to spend, I guess it's a land, so you can only play it like, that seems like a pretty good card. At 1 mana of any color in your commander color identity, that seems very, very strong. Like that one actually seems really, really good compared to like, because I don't want to spend 2 mana to get that. Maybe I'm just wrong. So
okay,
you're probably sitting there like, man, every one of the decks I build has all 3 of these cards in. Like, okay, Commander's Tower also seems like it'd be reprinted. I feel like you put these together for a reason, so I'm also gonna go with around $1. All right, that's 34 cents. Okay, we're chilling. So basically, what you're saying is I should get 4 of every one of these because they're absolute staples.
Oh my god. Let's get into it. Commander is a singleton format.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Just one.
So those are 3 staples, and I'm gonna guess they're all lower cost because the fact that they reprint them so often.
Yep.
If they weren't reprinted so often, maybe a kidney.
Yep. I'm basically exactly that. If these were limited supply, they'd be probably extremely expensive. So the next couple of things I have are broken down into categories of like the fundamental stuff you want in a commander deck. And some of these cards are going to do a lot of the same thing. And it's basically to show the point of like, this is like most commander decks want a lot of this. And I think it's really funny what you had to say about Arcane Signet. I'm going to show you these 6 cards. These 6 cards are fundamental in Commander.
Okay, we have Cultivate, just 2 neutral, 1 green. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards and put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other in your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so you know what? I gotta say something immediately. I'm not a huge fan of lands.
Wow, maybe you're not a green mage then.
Well, okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I hate the mana system that lands does for Magic. In Standard, I hate it.
Sure,
We played yesterday. Remember, I conceded a game on turn 1 because I only drew 1 land. Remember that? Like, I hate that. But this card must be nice because this is what you guys refer to as fetch lands, right? Of like getting lands.
Kind of. We're fetching lands. I'll let you believe that. And I'll let comments tell you what fetch lands are.
Okay, so if this is a staple in a green deck, right? Like this seems like, it's so tough because I really don't know how to evaluate a card specifically for Commander. But I would imagine based on what you said about the arcane artifact, like getting your mana base up and ready to go is the most important. So this card's probably pretty good. I'd also imagine this card's printed a ton, maybe. I'm gonna guess like $1. That's $1 for that one. Okay.
Yep. Good, honest Cultivate.
Okay. Interesting. All right. What is this one? Rampant Growth. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Okay. So 2 mana. This is Wild Growth in Hearthstone. Yeah, that's what it is. That's actually, dude, that's 1-to-1, dude. Okay. Wild Growth is broken in Hearthstone, which means this card is insane. Correct?
What's the difference with Arcane Signet?
Arcane Signet, you have to draw it, and then you have to spend... I guess maybe now that you say it like that, I guess you can interact with lands. Okay, I'm coping. Arcane Signet actually is a good card.
Yay! I guess we got there. We got there.
I guess
should have said Wild Growth.
You should have said Wild. You should have said yeah. Wild Growth is... Wild Growth triggers me till this day. Anyone who's played Hearthstone knows that it triggers them to this day. Okay, Rampant Growth. I'm gonna guess 30 cents. For Wild Growth?
You think Wild Growth would be 30 cents?
65. Okay. 65. Okay, I was kind of close. No, you don't think that would be the case? Wild Growth is a basic card in Hearthstone, all right? It's a staple.
I mean, look, this wasn't on my list, but it's right in the wheelhouse. I'll just drop it here.
Oh, there's actually a card called Wild Growth?
Yeah. It does like the exact same thing, yeah.
1 mana enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional... What? That's broke. That is turbo broken, correct? That is nuts. What? Is that a staple? $20.
You want to look it up?
I'm gonna look it up.
$20
for Wild Growth.
Oh, you're gonna love this.
2 million? No, it's 50. It's 50 cents. No, 50 cents. Wait, that seems like a really good card, though, right?
Oh yeah, it's a really good card.
I'm guessing everything you're showing me is just insane, right?
Yeah, these 7 cards now, 6 now, 7 cards I'm showing you are green ramp spells that are beloved in Commander, and I'll give you a hint. None of them are the sleeper whale card. These are all very affordable. These are all things that if you play green at all, you love to run because ramping in Commander is so good. Okay, so Elder, which is the sacrifice this, search your library for a basic land card. Okay, so yeah, so it's a consistent land gain. Nature's Lore, search your library for a forest card. Okay. They're all the same thing. You getting it?
Yeah, so if you're building like a green deck, like you're putting most of these cards in just to get your mana base up. Okay.
Yeah, the typical deck wants to have 10 to 13, some go as low as 8, but usually not under it, 10 to 13 ramp cards with different names to get your mana online. Okay, makes sense, especially for green. Okay, so no other color does this. As consistently, I should say. No other color does it the way that green does, which is why we turn to artifacts like Arcane Signet. So I'm going to give you a few more hints of cards that exist in the format that you're going to want to know about this cycle of cards, no matter what colors you're in. I'm going to pronounce this the best I possibly can. Aorus. Nope. Yeah. Okay, so this is Aorus Signet, 2 neutral, 1 mana, and you tap this and you get a white and blue mana. And then this is
Talisman of Indulgence, 2 neutral. You tap for a neutral mana, or you could tap for a black or red, and then this does 1 damage for you. Are these staples? I guess they would be, right? The trade-off in Commander for paying 2 neutral mana for a white and blue is good if your commander is white or blue.
Yep.
And that's the thought. And it's the same thing for like the Talisman. Like if you're playing red or black, this is a very easy thing to add to your deck.
Yep. Every color combination has these available to it.
Okay. Let me guess how much these are. $2, 56 cents. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's actually cool looking up how much these are in real life.
Yeah, the prices of these have come down a lot in the last few years because they actually have reprinted these a lot. But like when I started playing Commander, there were some colors like the blue-white Talisman hadn't been printed much. That was like really expensive. So I'm really glad that now these are affordable because every deck in the colors, especially if not green, really wants to get their hands on these.
Okay, so this is interesting though. The Talisman is worth like $3 more than the other one. Mm-hmm. What is the reason for that?
Just not enough printings yet.
Okay, so it will go down in price as they probably keep reprinting more.
Yep.
Okay.
That doesn't help you much if you're building a red-black deck tomorrow, though. You'd probably like a Talisman in it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that the pre-cons, because I'm sure you'll have a lot of comments about it by this point in the video, the pre-cons that get released with every set, these are like full decks that you can play out of the box, do a really good job printing a ton of these staples at a low price. So sometimes it makes a lot of sense to buy a pre-con, even if you don't love the commander, and get all these staples out of it that you can then put into a deck that you do love.
Makes sense.
Now let's look at another mana rock that you could potentially consider, and you can
Mana Crypt. Okay, 0 mana at the beginning of your upkeep. Flip a coin. Oh god, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt deals 3 damage to you, and this adds 2. Whoa. Okay, so immediately though, it does give you the 2 mana. So
yeah,
you 50-50 every single turn for 3 damage. This is legal in Commander still?
This is legal in Commander. Every deck could play this.
So I guess the first question is, how good is this? Is this good? I would, this is like original Innervate with like a potential downside. This is how they would print it for Warlock if they had to do it in Hearthstone. So probably a really good card, especially because you get that every single turn. This into Soul Ring is nasty. What the hell? Okay, now the question is, how much do they reprint this? This seems like a card they wouldn't reprint very often. Probably like $10.
$10 for this? Let's see.
Oh my god. I'm getting an appreciation for probably the cards that you have in your collection. What is this? 200. But why is this $280? The only difference between this card and Soul Ring is that this one's 0, which is it could be very relevant. I guess you could also play like it's another card in your deck, which could be very, very good. But my god, $280? Oh my god. Is this card very good in Commander? It has to be insane.
It's insane. Okay, this card is insane, but it's, again, part of coming to terms with playing Commander as a social game. There is competitive Commander. It exists. And in that, this is the most played card. It's in every deck. Okay. But outside of that, there is kind of the Mana Crypt stigma. When you play a turn 1 Mana Crypt, everybody's like, all right, we're going to kill you because you spent a lot of money to dunk on us. If we don't have Mana Crypt in our deck, we're gonna band together and destroy you.
That's crazy though, man.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So I would not recommend to most players to have Mana Crypt in their deck. And this, again, is a journey I went through the hard way. I started playing Commander about 2.5 years ago. And yeah, my first couple decks had Mana Crypt because I own one. Why wouldn't I play it? But you learn as you go what happens to people who play Mana Crypt in casual.
I get you. Oh my god. Okay. Jesus Christ.
We're gonna get into removal. All right, I'm gonna send you some cards that might be good removal in Commander. I'm curious what you think of them. Okay,
Swords to the Plowshares. 1 white, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. In Hearthstone, that's insane. Most control decks would play that card. So I have a feeling that's very good. I'm pretty confident that's an absolute insane card. For the price, this is something like, can you maybe give me a little bit more context on why they haven't printed Mana Crypt again? Like, is there a reason?
I think it's just not what they want the game to be about, like throwing stuff on the battlefield on turn 1, generating a ton of mana and going Yu-Gi-Oh on everybody. It is a busted card. It's 2 mana for nothing. Like, especially in formats where the average number of turns are like 3 or 4, you might take 3 damage once.
Okay.
I mean, like there are combinations and ways to storm off and just win the game with Mana Crypt. So yeah, it is an absolutely busted card that I don't think they actually wanted in the game. I think it was a legitimate mistake.
Okay. I'm going to imagine then that they print swords quite a bit, which means I'd probably give it like 50 cents. I feel like this is a very easy card that you could keep reprinting because it's really good. I'm going to go with $1.50. That sounds like a better example. $1.80.
That's a good guess. All right, yeah, that's a good guess.
All right, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
That's tough because that card's very competitively viable, and it really depends on how often they want to reprint a card like that. Because I mean, imagine that card's also in standard, right?
So that card is not in standard, and they continue to reprint it for commander, but not for standard because it's very healthy in commander, where spot removal is generally not.
Wait, is that how good removal is in commander? Oh yeah. My god. Okay, hold on. I didn't realize that would be the case. Okay, let me read the next one. Assassin's Trophy, 1 black, 1 green. It's an instant destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield and shuffle. Removing a minion to give your opponent a ramp. Is that later in the game? That is good. In the early game, that can backfire immensely. That's tough. I think the other one's a lot better.
Yeah.
God, I think this one's not as good. Is it played? Maybe. It's not bad in the late game. Like, I'm sure you'd be pretty happy. I also have no idea how fast like you draw through your deck in commander. Like, I don't really have a good context of that. And like, you're also probably getting later in the game because there's just other people that they can target. So I think this card is better than I'm probably giving it credit for. That being said, I would give it like, I don't know, 30 cents.
Okay. It is in the top like 50 cards played in commander, according to EDHREC. It's, It is actually very flexible. It doesn't just destroy minions. It can be any permanent, which is a big deal.
Oh, it could be a land, right? Like
it can also be a land if there's a land that is problematic, as some are. So Assassin's Trophy is actually another interesting commander dynamic where sometimes blowing up the opponent's thing makes them hate you so much, but sometimes you blow up their good thing and they get a land and they hate you less. I know it sounds crazy, but removal that gives the opponent something is usually off the table in a lot of like 1v1 formats, but is more on the table in multiplayer formats.
Interesting. This card's worth $2.34. That's very interesting.
There aren't really cards in the game that are 2 mana destroy anything, and Assassin's Trophy does fill that void.
I get you. Okay. Beast within, 2 neutral, 1 green, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. So, okay, I can already see what you're saying about the Assassin's Trophy. 3 mana, destroy target permanent, and they also get a 3/3. Is a 3/3 worse than them getting a land from their deck? Because they draw a card, they put it on the field. This one only gives you a 3/3 and you do the same thing, but you're paying an additional mana. Is the other one an instant? It is an instant too. Oh my god, are these all progressively worse? Like, is this one actually good? So the one thing I do know about Green's color identity is like they don't have great removal. Like, it feels like they're like Druid. Druid lacks, in Hearthstone at least, like a good removal. They sometimes get some good removal, but often it's like the worst class. One of the worst classes, I should say. So I feel like this is fine. I don't know if this is a good card. Is this a good card? It's not, right?
In my opinion, this card is terrible, but it is a staple. It is one of the most played green cards. Yeah, and you nailed it because they don't have creature removal otherwise.
Okay, I'm very curious to see how expensive this card is. Okay, if it's played and it's in a class that desperately needs it, it comes down to the amount of reprints. I'll go with like 60 cents. $2, really? Okay, all right, fair.
Yeah. I can't believe it holds that either, but yeah,
really.
It's one of the more played cards. I don't play it, but it gets played a lot.
Is there other removal that does something close to that? That's why you don't play it?
There isn't much. Like, it depends on your deck's colors, and that's hopefully what we're getting to. Like, if you combine green with black, you get Assassin's Trophy, and you get a lot of cards like it. You don't need Beast Within. If you play white, you have Swords to Plowshares. You don't need to worry about creatures and run Beast Within.
So it's like a mono red thing, or like a mono green thing, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah, and like green blue, I think runs it because blue doesn't deal with creatures well. You don't see a blue spot removal spell here. So yeah, like depending on your colors, you might need this. And if you put it, here's the thing: we're talking about staples. If you put it in any green deck, it's not necessarily bad. One of the interesting things about giving your opponent a creature as opposed to a land, almost certainly what your opponent does with an extra land will harm you at some point. But if you are running a deck that has a good battlefield presence that's bigger than 3/3, giving them a 3/3, they might attack somebody else with it. And that's like you getting more value out of your removal spell if they're attacking your opponents with it.
I actually never even considered that. That is very interesting. And then we have Chaos Warp, which is 2 neutral, 1 red. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent, they put it on the battlefield. What the fuck? No, that has to be unplayable. Well,
unplayable.
3 mana. How does that work with your commander? Does that shuffle them into your deck?
It used to, but now the way that the rules work with a commander is that you can choose to send it to the command zone anytime it would change zones. So changing zones does involve going into the deck. Back in the day, it worked that way, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that would be like, because that would be insane. Like in that case, I would 100% play, right? If they're like building towards like a really big commander, you just shuffle it in. But it has the same, like now that you brought up like the benefiting of like another player to attack a different player, this could be really good for them, and then they would be on your side for a while. Like you're kind of playing the politics game here. I think this card is bad, and I play a lot of Hearthstone, and I know how bad this could be. You can lose the game from this, but I got to remember this is a 4-player game, so if that's the case, it's probably fine. I don't know how often they would reprint something like this, though. This seems like a very wacky effect, and I don't know if Magic's really down for that.
We don't like RNG. We're allergic. Is that what you're saying?
I want to say based on the fact that they don't want to keep printing Mana Crypt, then yeah, like so I'll go with like $5. This is
$5. Okay.
$1.44. What? How is this one of the least expensive ones here? That's so interesting. I guess this is not a staple, right?
So it is. They've done a really good job reprinting this, but not for standard. Again, reprinting cards specifically for Commander. Every Magic the Gathering set they release nowadays has a subset with it that is only for Commander, and those are the Commander decks that they release. Chaos Warp is in 710,249 decks according to EDH Rec, and 32% of all reported Commander decks to the site play it. 32%, which is really high.
What?
It's one of the most played red cards in the game.
You're going to have to delve into the psychology here for a second. Is it played because it is just a strictly fun card? Like, do people like playing with it? That has to be what it is, right?
There is definitely a psychological element. It adds a degree of nonsense to a game that is already nonsense. People generally tolerate and enjoy getting Chaos Warped more than other types of removal spells, but there are fundamental reasons to play it.
Okay.
The biggest one is this. Red decks rely on damage-based spells to remove things. So Lightning Bolt is 1 red for 3 damage to any target. It's another red staple. It's in 10% of decks. The problem is, like, what if it has 4 toughness, or what if it can't be targeted, or what if damage is prevented when it's dealt to something, or what if it has a death trigger, right? Red is very bad at playing around things like death triggers, things like indestructibility, things that basically negate its core removal tenet, which is damage. Because of that, Chaos Warp is one of the few cards, very few cards in the entire game that doesn't trigger a death trigger, that gets around indestructibility because it goes directly back into the deck.
Oh, fair. Okay. All right. All these nuances, man.
Yeah,
like I get it. Yeah.
It's also one of the only cards in red that can target an enchantment. Red has almost no enchantment removal, like virtually none in the color itself.
Oh my God. I'm getting like there's so much information, learning prices and like learning the psychology of players. Learning why cards are so it's good. This is good. This is actually a really good experience for me.
Yeah, getting the staples down is about psychology. It's about so many weird factors. I'm going to show you 2 of my favorite staples that I would put in almost every deck in these colors, and it kind of goes on the removal train.
Okay. Lauren of the Third Path, or is it Lorraine? Lauren is
right.
Oh, okay. Of the Third Path, 2 neutral, 1 white. Vigilance, when this enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. If you tap this, you and a target opponent each draw a card, and it's a 2/1. Ooh. So this is one of the cards that you really can start building an alliance with. Mm-hmm. Like you target someone, and then you for someone else you tap it, and then you could be like, oh, you could draw a card because we're like friends. So you say this is a staple for you?
Yes.
Does that mean it's a staple for like the average player in Commander?
It should be. The card is like 2 years old, and I think that's something that's really interesting about the trend of Commander is there's so many cards printed for Magic nowadays that Commander players don't keep up. Like, why would they update their decks with every single set when they're casual players, and when one card isn't significantly better than another? Like, this card right now is in 0.005% of the decks it could be in. But like, I think that every white deck should play it, in my opinion. So sometimes that gets you a deal on something before everybody like clamors to it.
Okay, so based on what you said, then this is a cheaper card, I'm imagining. So I'll go with like $1.
Okay.
The fact that you said it like that makes me think it's worth so much more. $4. Okay, $4. This is a good card. I think 3 mana for a 2/1 with Vigilance, and you get to try an artifact and enchantment. It feels pretty good. And then you also get to draw additional cards, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
it's a good element. Okay, I can see what you mean. I kind of feel the same way. Like, if I'm playing white, I probably want to add this into my deck. It also just adds to like the politics of what Commander is, right? Which is cool.
Yep.
Reclamation Sage. 2 neutral, 1 green. When this enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. And this is also a 2/1, but you don't have the additional fun thing of it.
Yep.
And you think you said this is a staple in your green decks?
Yep. I'd still put it in probably every deck that runs green.
So destroying a target enchantment and artifact is that good?
It's very, very good. And I also brought these up because, and we're going to circle back to this point, in Commander, there's an important concept called being open. And that's not like what it is in Draft or, you know, some other formats. Being open means you have nothing on the battlefield to keep people who incidentally have creatures from just attacking you. It's like,
okay.
Oh, well, you have nothing, I attack you. So it's one thing to have a spell that deals with something. It's another thing to have a creature that just sits on the battlefield, blows something up, and then the opponent looks at you, you have something on the battlefield, they would rather attack the person who's open. So that's why I think these cards are way better than people even realize, because even though a 2/1 is not good stats, it's very irrelevant. You just want something on the board in Commander so people don't chip you.
I get you. Okay. I want to say like $1. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's the strongest card in the world. 41 cents.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
So the
budget's not broken.
The budget is not broken. Okay. Okay. You guessing the price thing is actually really interesting.
It's going to get more interesting because we've been taking our vegetables. Okay. I showed you ramp, right? I showed you some must-have ramp. I showed you some basic removal.
Okay.
Removal is not great in Commander, and that's part of what holds the prices below like the $10 mark for the most part. If you are spending one of your cards on one of your opponent's cards, the other 2 players aren't spending anything. That's good for the other 2 players.
Makes sense.
But board wipes, on the other hand, where you blow up everything, get more interesting.
Okay, so this is for the juices. All right. Let's see what we got. I'm actually really excited. Oh, God. Blasphemous Act. 8 neutral mana and 1 red. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Okay. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Wow. Okay. Well, in standard, this is probably actually in standard. Like, I don't know if this card would be even like, is it even legal in standard? It's a very interesting card.
It used to be a long time ago. It was. It is not currently legal in standard.
I was gonna say in standard, like if you could really guess what the meta game is gonna be, like that's a very interesting card.
Hell of a sideboard card, right? You bring it in against decks that go really hard.
In Commander, I mean, obviously this is very good. 13 damage probably kills. I think as far as I have seen, kills every single creature in terms of stats.
I think I've seen something live through Blasphemous Act twice.
Okay, and you've been playing this game for time, so I mean,
yeah,
this card's very good. The question is, we haven't seen a board clear like you said. And I feel like this is going to be worth a lot more money unless it's reprinted a ton. I'm going to take a risk here. Let's go for $20.
Wow. Yeah. Get
like
there.
$3.50. Okay, I definitely overshot it just slightly. Let's go to the next one. Okay, Cyclonic. Oh my God, Cyclonic Rift. Cyclonic Rift.
Blasphemous Act, really quick, is the most played card in red right now. It's in the most decks, slightly more than Chaos Warp.
So I'm gonna like, you could talk more to this, but in Hearthstone we have something called Highlander decks, which is virtually the same concept as Commander, where you can only have one-ofs. I don't know if actually Commander's ever done, or if Magic's ever done that in Standard, where you just run one-ofs. Have they ever done that?
No, not really.
Okay, so it's interesting that Hearthstone took that philosophy and said like, oh, we're gonna build like a whole like archetype around it, because they've done it for like virtually like 8 years. They've always kind of supported it. In Hearthstone, what often happens with Highlander decks is because you can only run one copy of a card, you start getting to like your 29th and 30th card, and those cards are like, okay, do I really need it? Probably not, but they're like the best I can do, right? It's got to be almost the same concept in Commander. I'm not saying that Act is like just the last card you put in, but because there's like 99 or 100 slots you have to fill, this feels like a really easy include into your red deck. Like really easy. Gets you.
Oh yeah.
So like I understand why it's the most played red card. That was where I was going with that. Okay, so the Rift is 1 neutral, 1 blue. This is an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. It has overload 6 and 1 blue. You may cast this spell for its overload cost. If you do, change target in its text to each. Oh, hey, the versatility is insane. Wait, what?
Oh my.
He's getting it. I can feel you getting it.
That's even worse than the Act.
Actually, okay, I guess the Act gets mana cheated potentially, but that is a disgusting card. Are you hated at the table if you play this?
It's on the salt scale for sure. This card has a reputation. Yeah.
So I'm going to imagine this card is very, 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 very good. Like this seems like a very good card if you're playing blue. If we're basing this on like getting your mana base up early and playing this is insane. Oh my God, this is so insane.
What do you think it's gonna go for?
That's the real question. How often would they print effect like this? I'm guessing this is not banned, but it's definitely like a highly contentious card.
God, I should have shown you some banned cards for your Commander purchasing video. That would have been funny.
Yo, I messaged you after. Yo, CGB, where's this card?
Yeah. Give this man a game loss.
I don't know. Like, this is actually really tough because I don't know if Wizards wants to print this effect very often, right? So I'll go again. I'm gonna go $20.
$20. Okay.
$54?
Boom.
Oh my God. Why? So they never reprint this card.
They do. Every now and then at Mythic, the demand is insanely high. You haven't seen much blue since the counter spell we showed you at the top, right? They don't have a lot of reliable removal, and they definitely don't have a lot of board wipes. But Cyclonic Rift is a card that rose to absolute notoriety in Commander because of its instant speed, because of its ability to hit all of your opponent's stuff and leave your board intact. And it is an outlier. It's also one of the most popular and at the same time hated cards in the format.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes so much sense. That card's disgusting, bro. What the hell? Okay, Runeous Ultimatum.
Runeous.
What is it?
Ruinous. Ruinous.
What did I say? Runeous.
Ruinous.
2 red, 3 white, 2 black. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponent controls. Is it weird that I think this one is significantly worse than the last one?
Really? Why?
This one's so much more. I guess destroying is, you would want to destroy stuff more than sending it back to your opponent's hand. I guess that's the case. I don't know why, but I feel like this one is just like really expensive.
It's the same cost as the overload of the Cyclonic Rift. It's 7 and 7.
I guess in my mind, visually, it looks so much more because of the way it's written. Like it's like spread.
That's why it's $54. It's an illusion.
Oh, wait, the Rift?
Yeah, the Rift. Well, that's why the Rift is so expensive.
To be fair, the Rift is very versatile, right? This one you have to hard cast this at 7. Like there's no there's no trade-off here. Wait, this is just your opponents though. Hold on.
It is.
I'm starting to come around. Hold on. No, it's probably good. This would destroy your opponent. Like they would hate you. Like this is miserable. Oh my God. $100.
$100. The whole budget.
The whole budget. Runeous Ultimatum.
1 card deck. Let's go.
All right, this one's only $437. Okay. So I guess they reprinted a lot more. Wait, they don't.
They don't?
Wait, why is this one so much worse or so much less expensive?
The mana cost is really prohibitive. It's incredibly prohibitive. This wants to be in exactly a red, white, and black deck. Because if it's in a 4-color or 5-color deck, if you have even 1 mana pip that doesn't produce those colors, red, white, or black, in your mana base, then you can't cast on 7. Like you have to wait till 8 or have some other way to get mana. So this only fits in specifically one deck, one style of deck in Commander, and while red, white, and black isn't exactly unpopular, it's not the most popular. There's a big difference between returning cards to your owner's hand and blowing them up. The difference you think of is, oh, well, now they have all these cards in their hand, and I'd rather they were in the graveyard. But the bigger difference is effects like indestructibility, board protection, which we're going to get into. Destroy doesn't destroy as much as you want it to. Cyclonic Rift, if they have indestructible or protection of some kind, Cyclonic Rift gets around it. Like they have to pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But If the effect is just destroy this and they give their commander indestructible, they basically blew you out. You spent 7 mana to blow up all this stuff, and now somebody else is winning the game.
Okay, so this card is good. It's just in a very like weird color combination that it's hard to use. Interesting.
I think every Mardu deck, which is the slang for red and white and black, I think every Mardu deck would run it, but there just aren't as many Mardu decks as other color combinations.
Okay, interesting. What the hell? Okay, Toxic Deluge. 2 neutral, 1 black. As an additional cost to cast the spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until the end of turn. If I'm playing Hearthstone and this is a Warlock card, I am putting this in literally any deck that is a control deck. Very, very good card, I would imagine. This seems like it's absolutely cracked. So the question comes down to, this is very easy to slot into any black deck, anything that uses black, I should say, not just black deck. God, I think this is insane. Is this legal in standard?
This is not legal in standard, and this has been printed 13 times.
13 times.
I'll say 13 unique art treatment printings, because people are going to try to be really nitpicky on what a reprint is.
All right, I'll do 10 bucks. $7.57.
Yeah, you got the spirit right, I think. This was worth like 20 some dollars until like this year. It's been reprinted several times now.
Farewell, 4 neutral, 2 white. This is sorcery, choose 1 or more, exile artifact. Okay, so it's literally just choosing what you want to remove from the board. Exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. So you could pick all of these if you want to, just to fuck around.
Yeah, you can get it all.
The main thing about this card specifically is you can make enemies very quickly. How often would Wizards reprint a card like this? Does exiling get past indestructible?
It does.
Wait, this is gross. Wait, this is infinitely better than the ultimatum. This is the best card you showed me other than the crypt.
It does hit your own stuff.
I think it's a very good card. Is it a good card?
Yes, it's a good card. It's a damn good card. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Farewell is a sweet card. They don't make them quite like this that hit absolutely everything you could want to hit.
I'm going to go with like $30. Okay. Just because I think it's like, it's something they wouldn't want to, $8.40.
Good deal, right? I would say there's almost a stigma. There are people who want this card banned because it does take everything that's happened in the game so far and virtually erase it with very minimal counterplay available to anyone. So there are people who refuse to run this card because they don't want somebody to cast Farewell in the second hour of their game, forcing it to go another hour.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, Vanquish the Horde, 6 neutral, 2 white. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, destroy all creatures. So if Act was 9 and it does 13, this destroys. This also seems just incredibly good. White just seems so strong.
It's got bangers.
Okay, very good card. I'm assuming that you're going to say the exact same thing here. The question is, how likely are they to reprint this? Is this like, I wonder how much consideration they do to like reprint cards like this. This is just like, this is an auto include for sure. So
I think so.
It's not an auto include.
It's kind of wild. This card came out a few years ago, like 3 years ago now. And it hasn't been reprinted much, but it's also not going for much. I think it's underplayed. So I wanted it on your list.
So you're just making me pick cards that my friends are going to hate me if I play Commander with them.
No, I'm trying to keep you from getting rolled, bro.
Yeah, you're right. All right, this is $4. I'm actually very surprised because it does seem like a very good card.
We're moving out of the board clear territory. Some viewers will be very happy. We're moving into the protection category. And this is huge because I'm very curious what you think of some of these cards and whether or not you would play them in 1v1 formats. But this is something that I find very interesting in Commander is how seriously we take our protection spells. And it will make some of the commentary around the board wipes make more sense. Okay?
Heroic Intervention, 1 neutral, 1 green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. Oh my god. That's nuts. 2 mana to save your whole board? They can still be exiled though, right?
They can be exiled. Also, some things, indestructible also doesn't prevent -X like you saw in Toxic Deluge, or return to hand like you saw in Cyclonic Rift.
I see what you mean. They just can't take damage, actually.
Yep. Blasphemous Act, though, and Vanquish the Horde and Ruinous Ultimatum would all be sad panda when you Heroic Intervention.
Okay, so this is obviously, I want to say very good, especially because it's an instant. That's crazy good. 2 mana for that? No, it's amazing. This would be played in standard. 100%.
Cool. How much do you think it's worth? How much do people? So you know what people will pay to remove one thing. You know what people will pay to remove everything. How much will they pay to save everything?
Ooh, that's a great question. $15? That sounds reasonable. I don't know. I have to get like an actual baseline here.
Pull it up, baby. $15. Lock it in.
Damn, $17? Well, okay, it's a little less than
Dude,
that.
you were really close.
It's a little less than that. On average, it's like, okay, yeah, I get you. Damn, let's go.
You kind of nailed that.
That's kind of wild though to think that like they're worth more than board clears, but I guess it makes sense because you're gonna have to deal with more board clears than you are gonna have to deal with like, or I guess there's more board clears in your game, so you want these cards in your deck.
Yeah, if board clears are good and most players run them, then the person who has this when the board clear happens not only used somebody else's resource to wipe out all their opponents, but they're now the one in the lead, right? Like this is this is kind of a core fundamental thing to Commander.
You're actually so right. I can't believe I keep forgetting like how much of an advantage you get if someone uses a board clear, like you get to go ahead. Okay, Lightning Greaves. 2 neutral equipped creatures has haste and shroud. Can be target of spells and abilities. Its equip is 0. I haven't seen shroud before. This is a new keyword.
Shroud. So you've seen hexproof, right?
Yeah.
Like that was on the last card. Hexproof is like the fixed version of Shroud. Shroud came before Hexproof. Shroud means neither player can target it with anything.
Okay, so then hexproof means like you can target your own creature with something?
Yep, and your opponents cannot. Yep.
Equipped creature. So this, you can only equip something at a sorcery speed though, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think this is not good.
Not good.
Well, okay, gets haste. 2 mana to gain haste. In Hearthstone, was that the same thing? I think Hearthstone's was 3 mana to gain haste. Or charge, I should say. I think this is good if you're really just trying to kill someone, like from hand from a creature. Like if you're trying to play Leroy Jenkins here, like I get it. I don't think this is good. Is this good?
This card is insane.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. This card
Why
is,
have I not?
This card is so played. It is so played. You're gonna have to guess the price.
Okay, let me go through my logic here. I'm thinking you play this card, and then as you're about to equip it, your opponent just kills the creature you're gonna play. And then
There's a chance that happens. Let's assume it's the commander, right?
Yeah.
So you're assuming a few things. One is that your opponents are just sitting there with mana up and waiting for great targets.
Fair.
All right. Not always, like the play patterns, especially early in Commander, don't facilitate that well. It's not that it never happens, but it's that you are far better off setting up your own board than holding up mana to spend a 1-for-1 removal spell on one player and letting the other 2 players get further ahead.
Makes sense.
That doesn't happen as much as you would expect it to. In Standard, 100% you're right. You know, 1v1 format, 100% you're right. In Commander, having this out and then equipping it to your commander so it can't be targeted after you set some nefarious plot into motion is really good. Also, a lot of commanders have attack abilities or do better things when you attack with them, and this allows it to go right away.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Oh my gosh. I wish I had like a context of like how a commander game plays. So like at this point,
you'll get there. We're warming you up.
I should have said at the start of this video, like I've never watched like any commander show. Like I've never seen a single one. I've never played a game of commander with 4 people, so I truly don't know what it's like. I have no idea. I'll go with like $6.
What would you have gone with if I had just let you go? What would you have said? Would you have said this is like 10 cents?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You should just let me do it and then explain it, whatever. Lightning Greaves, you gave me $7.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a staple I should buy. Okay. Oh god. To fairies protection? That sounds right. 2 neutral, 1 white, instant. Until your next turn, your life total can't change and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. While they're phased out, they're treated as they don't exist. They phase in before you untap during your untap step. Then you exile this. Holy shit. So it's whoa, this is an instant? Disgusting. This is ice block, but it's even better because it's ice block for your minions. Absolutely nuts. Is there any way you could stop your opponents from returning their stuff?
From returning their stuff. I think there's one card in the game that says permanents can't phase in.
Oh my god. But no one runs that card, surely.
I've never seen it on the battlefield in my life.
Let's go with like $15. I'm sorry. Am I reading this correct? Is it actually $50?
Yes.
It's $50. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like that is That is an absurdly broken card. That is absurd. Surely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about heroic intervention, Teferi's Protection is one of the only cards that can save you from all those board wipes we looked at. Farewell, Toxic Deluge, Cyclonic Rift. Teferi's Protection effectively for your board counters all of it. And on top of that, they can't then take advantage of all your stuff being phased out by killing you because it says your life total can't change and you have protection from everything. Yeah, this card, I think this card in casual Commander more than any other card determines the outcome of the game. And you can watch like my Commander show. You will see that whoever plays this card, it happens on game nights too. I would also say on game nights, like all kinds of Commander shows. If somebody plays this card at the right time, they win. It's usually that simple. There's some huge play, some huge turn, some climax of an engine coming together, a combo, but somebody has the Teferi's Protection.
Yeah.
Insane.
That is a card in Magic the Gathering for sure. That is absolutely. All right, let's go to the next one. Dawn's Truce, 1 neutral, 1 white, instant. Okay, so this is from Bloomburrow. This is relatively recent.
This is new.
Gift a card. Oh yeah, I know what gifts a card is. Okay. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible until the end of turn. Okay. So compared to the last card, 1 less mana. It's not nearly as good, and it is relatively new. Okay, so you would be happy to play this, I guess, to get hexproof, because that's still very relevant.
Yep, if something's targeting you, it's very good.
Gift the card's not the worst thing ever. It's just, you don't really want to give your opponent a card.
I'll tell you that in Commander, it's not nearly as bad as it is in 1v1, because with the same principle of like giving them a beast, it might attack somebody else. Maybe you make a deal with them. I'll give you a card, but you have to remove card XYZ.
You make deals in Commander?
You'll see. You'll see.
Oh God.
You're a content creator. You like to yap. You're gonna see the power of the yap.
Unironically, I'm worried that the Commander game is gonna take 8 years because me and Voxy are gonna be yapping the whole fucking time at one another. I'll go with like, it's relatively real. I'll go like $3. $6. $6.50. Okay. This is Canadian, by the way, in case anyone's curious. I gotta make sure that's very clear.
All right, moving on to card draw. I'm going to show you some of my favorite ways to draw cards in Commander.
Ristic Study, 2 neutral, 1 blue. This is an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1 mana. Brother.
Yeah.
Do I want to be the most hated person at the table? Do I want people to literally want to like kill me as fast as possible because of this card?
How much do you want to have cards in your hand? That's the real question.
Do I want people to hate me more than I want to draw cards?
Also, can you afford it? We don't know the price. I mean, you know it's good, right? You know that's insane in Commander, right?
I would imagine that's very good. I'm also imagining a world where people just hate your guts because you're playing. It's like, this is evil.
The numbers were ran. I don't remember where, but I remember the numbers. The numbers on Ristic Study are typically that a card like this draws 10 to 12 cards.
That's illegal. I'm gonna go with like $30. That seems like an effect. $60?
Yeah, why not?
Oh my God.
I will tell you, my Ristic Studies are worth every penny every time. That is what I can promise you.
$60 to draw 11 cards on average. Seems good. Esper Sentinel, 1 white. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is this card's power. So it's the same thing, but it comes down even earlier.
Is it the same thing?
I mean, arguably it's even better. Wait, is it not? Oh, it's no, it's not. Their first non-creature spell each turn. Okay, so it's not exactly the same thing. Reminder, minions are spells in this game. Okay, Ristic Studies is a better card, I think, objectively speaking, especially because you can get your mana very, very quickly in this. Oh my God, imagine going the Crypt into Soul Ring into this card. Like you just need a blue mana and then you just like you would oh my God. Okay, anyways.
You could just go Island Mana Crypt this.
That's also true. That's also true. That's so gross. Oh my.
I've done it.
If you go first, like you're, oh my God, they all look at you like, oh God, they must hate you so much.
They still hate me, yes.
Nah, I like the Ristic Study. I'm gonna go like $1.
$1 for Esper Sentinel? Okay.
30 Why is this so much money? Is it actually that good?
I mean, it's half as expensive. No, these effects are busted. These effects that like trigger off when the opponent plays a thing, give you a card, are kind of insane in Commander. It's the best card draw engines that you can play. There's plenty of spells that draw a couple cards here and there. There's plenty of spells that draw a card every upkeep. There aren't many cards that draw a card every time your opponent does a thing, and those in Commander are well sought after.
Why do I think this card is so bad?
I don't know. Why do you think this card is so bad?
Maybe it's because I haven't played against it. I think it would be annoying. I just don't know if that annoyance is actually just because of the fact that like it's a very, very good card, but I guess it would be.
I feel like Esper Sentinel could be in every white deck. That's how I feel about the card. There are only so many cards in Commander that you want to play that are 1 or 2 mana that let you like keep your opening hand and feel good about it. It's usually ramp pieces. Usually it's mana rocks and ramp pieces, Soul Ring, things like that. Esper Sentinel is one of the only cards that doesn't enhance my mana that make me feel good about a turn 1 play. We're going to move into ways to generate tremendous amounts of mana. Big mana, and especially thanks to our opponents, is a big deal. You need a lot of mana to pull off your bullshit in Commander. So here, I'm going to give you one at a time since you requested it that way.
Seedborn Muse, 3 neutral, 2 red, or 2 red, 2 green. Untap all permanents you control during each other's player's untap step. What?
You know, you tap your lands, you tap your artifacts, you tap your enchantment. You don't tap your enchantments.
No. Hold
you
on,
tap
hold
your
on.
creatures, but
This
then
is
you
disgusting.
untap them.
What is this? This is also disgusting, bro. Why do people play this format? Like, what is this? This looks horrible. Like, some of these look so awful to play against. $100.
$100.
How often do they print this card? $12?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's good value.
Wow, Ristic Studies must be just the best card of all time. Well, I guess the Crypt is, but I'm actually baffled that's $12.54.
Do you think it's worth more or less than this card?
Smothering, what is this, Tith? That sounds right. It's not to the, so Tith, yeah.
Tithe.
3 neutral, 1 white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2 mana. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Oh my god. I mean, most of the time, they're gonna let you probably have the artifact. The treasure token, I should say, sorry. Which means you're just getting more mana, you're ramping. Ew, what is this?
Yeah, it's not a bad card, right?
Is it better than Muse? I don't know, man. Muse is like, if you have that set up, like, and you have like a really good board, you are destroying people every single turn. That is illegal. If it goes around a full table, it pays for almost pays for itself. And then you also got the additional mana like immediately. It's probably better than Muse, actually. Muse is good if you have a board set up. This is good if you don't have a board set up and you need to get the mana to get like this is ramping out of control. This card seems insane.
I would say that they are comparable. I would say that they are wrestling. I like Smothering Tithe better than Muse personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like $40.
$40 for
$36 bucks or $35 Canadian. Okay, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. We're gonna move into tutors. Basically, we want to talk about breaking the singleton rule to make sure you have the right card at the right time. So these are going to be cards focused on getting you whatever you want when you need it.
Okay, Diabolic Tutor, 2 neutral, 2 black. Search your library for a card and put that card in your hand, then shuffle your library. Oh my god. Okay, if I know anything from Hearthstone, tutor effects are often really good if they're at like a really good price. Now, 4 mana to pick a specific card from your deck in 100 cards. Well, not at that point, but you know what I mean. Probably very good. At 4 mana, is that a good rate for this? Probably. This looks like a card they wouldn't print very often either. I think, okay, so if I'm thinking about the philosophy of Commander, the best thing about Highlander is that each game plays differently. So you don't always want to have these very consistent effects. So them reprinting this feels like it would be like a mistake for what Commander's truly going for. So I'm going to think this card's very good because consistency in card games is one of the most important things. And it's probably going for like $100. $4. Why is it not a good card?
Why is it so cheap? Is it yeah, it's not a very played card. I did you dirty this time. Why don't you read this card?
Oh, this is just better, isn't it? You son of a bitch. Okay. Demonic Tutor is how much? I mean, 2 mana. Like, I just don't know the rate, right? $55. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You would play that, obviously, because it's 2 mana. I mean, you might even play both, to be honest.
You could, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 2 mana to find a card from your deck. I mean, I play that in like every card game that has ever existed. Like, that seems like an insane rate. So
And
I understand.
it could be in every black deck if you wanted. I will say this, if you are spending money and you're a new commander player, it seems like cracked to get a Demonic Tutor. I would recommend buying none of these because it is kind of against the format, like you were hinting at. I think that you are just better off when you're not playing tutors. I think you have more fun that way. I think that, like, I've slowly cut Demonic Tutor from all of my decks that I wouldn't call competitive because it's kind of lame. It's kind of lame. Like, you draw Demonic Tutor and you're like, okay, well, what's the perfect card here? And you cast it and everybody watches and speculates while you just look at every card in your 100-card deck to find the perfect card. And then, oops, if it's in the deck with a combo, oops, I win the game, I guess. Wow, guys. So
wow, guys.
It's not a great experience, in my opinion. I really want to hear what you say about this. We're moving into, this is kind of protection adjacent. We're going to call it that. It's protection adjacent. Okay.
Oh my God. Fierce Guardianship, 2 neutral, 1 blue. Instant, if you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Counter. Bruh. Listen, we've talked about this a ton. Mana cheating is the best thing you can do in card games. This is literally mana cheating at its most consistent, arguably, because you have your commander whenever you can play it. And if you're gonna play this card, do you only run this card though if your commander's like on the cheaper side? Because you would want this early, or would you? Do you care, actually? I mean, mana cheating is good, so this is probably a good card.
MTG Goldfish said this was the best counter spell in Commander.
MTG Goldfish said this is the best one.
Yeah, on their podcast.
Let's go with like $35.
Sure. $35. Reasonable.
$59. What the fuck? Canadian, but like, oh my God. That's crazy good.
It's the idea of why would you need to counter something if you don't have your commander out? Like the whole idea of the format is kind of like you want to have your commander on board. So even if your commander is expensive, that's the time when you need to protect it the most.
It makes sense. That makes sense.
Now, on the subject of basically saving your commander or protecting one thing, I'm going to show you one of my favorite cards.
Okay. Slip out the back. 1 blue. Instant, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. It phases it. So buff a creature by +1/+1 and no one can interact with it. Mm-hmm. Well, it's hexproof, I guess it is. Well, it doesn't exist. So like, hold on. Mm-hmm. When it phases out, it's like it doesn't exist on the board. Yeah, okay, hold on.
Yeah, you've only seen this on Teferi's Protection so far.
Wait, this is so nutty because you can go like you can do an attack. Like if your commander has like, oh, whenever this attacks whatever card, you do the attack, and then if your opponent actually responds to it, then you just do this and you're like chilling. There's so many This card's insane. This card has to be insane. How often would they print an effect like this? Like this is.
I think it's been printed twice.
Twice? $300.
Okay.
It's $1?
It is.
Why is it only $1?
I don't know. I think everybody should play this in Commander. It's so good. It can even target your opponent's stuff if they attack you with a giant meatball. You can just phase it out so you don't die.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm so confused because my reaction is like, this card is broken. Like,
I know. I love this card. You know how many times they like try to wipe the board or blow up my commander and I slip out the back? This card has won me so many games, but that's part of the thing. Remember when I said I think that new cards just haven't been paid attention to as much as the old staples? This is one that just, I don't know, man, but I think people should get it. I think for like $1 Canadian, I think it goes in the cart. All right, I'm going to do a brief category called using other people's stuff. One of my favorite tricks when my opponents are playing something higher budget than me is to take their things away from them. And here are some of the best rate cards to do that.
Put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. This is illegal. I mean, okay. How good is this? It's pretty fucking good. I don't think I have to really evaluate that.
Yeah.
That
scales nuts. Really well, baby. It's really good as the game goes on.
Okay, now I'm curious as hell how much money this is. This is a staple. This has to be a staple. Let's go like $10. Reanimate. I typed in RE and it's like the first thing that comes up.
Yep.
$10. Actually $10.
Yeah, nailed it.
Phantasmal Image. 1 neutral, 1 blue. You may have this enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's an illusion in addition to its other types. And it has when this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. 2 mana for this? So you would sacrifice the creature itself if it is targeted from a spell or ability. It's probably still good though. I don't know how good that is. If reanimate's 1 mana, man, reanimate is so stupid. What the hell? Like, look at the difference.
Yeah, it's kind of cracked.
I don't know. I feel like this is fine, but at the same time, I guess if they're using like if they're using a spell and an ability, it is like they're just using removal on your image. I guess you're happy with that. It's probably pretty good. Is it good?
I think it's good. It's 2 mana for the best creature on the battlefield, which in Commander, the land of big mana, everybody ramps, everybody does big things. At worst, it's like the best commander on the field. At best, somebody casts like an 8 mana boom boom, and you're like 2 mana, I have one.
So the only reason I don't know if it's like, okay, Mockingbird is like almost the same thing of this card, right? Am I thinking of it incorrect?
Mockingbird would be the same if you're copying a 2 mana card. Because you'd have to pay into the X, right? If you're copying an 8 mana card with Mockingbird, it's 8 mana. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. No, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, so then I have more appreciation for this card. I thought Mockingbird was like relatively close. This card is $8.
Yeah, it's the cheapest in mana value terms way to clone something on the field.
2 mana to get their commander. Yeah, okay. No, when you say it like that, it's pretty gross. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I don't know how good this is, but yeah, when you say it like that, that's pretty nasty.
We've played the game, we've generated card value, we've ramped, we've hung around, we've protected our board. We have to win the game, so we're gonna look at Commander win cons, okay? And I mean, let's start right here. This one's pretty iconic.
Craterhoof Behemoth, 5 neutral, 3 green, haste. When this enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get XX until the end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. This guy wins you games. Really?
You don't think so?
What if you only have 1 minion on the board and it's this?
Well, I guess then you have a 5/5 hasty.
Which sounds awful. So you need more.
A 6/6 hasty.
Yeah, 6/6
it counts itself. Yeah.
Is it weird that I don't think this is that good? I feel
okay
like
if you want to die on that hill, you can. Let's go.
Again, I don't know what like commander decks do. Like I'm assuming if this is like playable, then there's like a deck that forms a lot of like tokens or something along those lines. And I guess if you could ramp enough, you could put up a board where like this is disgusting. I guess the logic is like you have enough mana. If you have no board, you just summon a bunch of like little dudes and then you play this, and this is just becomes absolutely massive, and so does everything else. So maybe I could see it being good. I just don't like it if you're behind. It feels like it doesn't do enough. I actually don't think this is that good, but you're here to tell me that it's amazing.
I mean, I'm going to tell you it's a win con. Like, you have to figure out how to deal, 120 damage to 3 different players. This is one thing that I can do it if you play towards the right scenario, right?
I don't think this is good. I'm going to go with like, this is like $1.
This is $1. Okay.
Ew, why is this $50? What?
You fell for the classic blunder. The 1v1 mindset of course, if there's a board, I can deal with it, right? But Commander is all about building giant boards. It's all about going absolutely crazy and making a ton of creatures. And Craterhoof is one of the most popular played win cons in the game. And just like you, when I died to Craterhoof again and again, I was like, what the hell? I'm losing to this Timmy bullshit. But this is like the most popular win con in casual Commander that's about building boards of various types of creatures. Like, this card comes out and wins games. It's a killer. People are at a point where they don't run this because they think it's too easy to win the game.
What?
Yes.
Okay,
Post on Twitter, have you ever taken Craterhoof Behemoth out of a deck because it was too easy? People will say yes, they have. In comments, I bet they will say yes, I don't run Craterhoof anymore. It was too easy.
Is the better tweet just like, this card's garbage. If you run it, you're bad.
Do it. Try it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to make any enemies. I don't want to make any enemies.
Nah, man. If you want to win with a green deck that's going to have like 5 or 6 creatures on the board, yeah. It's Crater Hoof. It's always Crater Hoof.
Moonshaker Cavalry. 5 neutral, 3 white. It's flying. When this enters the battlefield, creature you control gain flying and get +X until the end of turn, where X is the number of creature you control. Okay, so this is the same thing, but they don't get trample, they get flying. Okay, do I think flying is better than trample? If the last card got played, does this card get played, or is trample just objectively better than flying? By the way, interesting question. I've actually never asked this. In Commander, can you attack multiple people at once?
Yes, you can.
So then I think trample is arguably better then. Well, I don't know. Flying is good. Flying is good. I'm gonna go off my standard knowledge as far as I'm concerned. Also my Hearthstone brain here. Flying is not as good as haste. In the case of that you have no creatures on board, I'd rather have the haste guy and hope for the best. Now, if I have other creatures on board, flying is very good. I just don't see it, and I think it's because I'm Hearthstone brained at this point, where like if the 8 mana dude I'm playing doesn't win me the game on the spot, if it doesn't read something like do this batshit crazy effect, I don't see it. I think this is also bad. Are you gonna tell me this is insane?
I mean, it's similar to Crater Hoof. It's very good. You create a wide board, you play this, all your stuff now isn't blockable, and it gets in and it wins the game. I've only seen this card win games.
Yeah, but so that logic is interesting because it's like you only see it win games because they only play it when it would win the game.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, it is.
So
there's
like
a survivorship bias. Yeah.
So in that regard, like, is it actually that good? I mean, what is this card worth? I mean, surely if it's winning a lot of people games, then like it's probably worth a lot. Okay, it's $17, somewhere around there. So it's not as good as Behemoth then. Behemoth is just like insane.
Yeah, it's not nearly as loved as Behemoth because green is good at tutoring for creatures, green is good at finding creatures, and green is frankly the better commander color, as you saw with the ramp. So Cavalry doesn't have the same pedigree as Behemoth, but it's still a finisher in white, and it does the job, at least in my experience.
Okay.
See, I think we were getting you, and now we might lose you at win cons. let me throw some other ideas at you to win games.
Okay, I'm waiting for like the most batshit stuff.
Now, I will say there are a lot of combos that can win games. There are several ways to achieve A plus B combo equals wins games. They are generally frowned upon because they feel, quote, anticlimactic. If you're playing casual commander, people want to see games end with combats, with big effects, with like very large splashy things, not I built my Rube Goldberg machine and I win now. You guys die. Okay, does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not showing you Thassa's Oracle today, right? Okay.
Brave Merchant of, oh god, Asphodel?
Asphodel.
3 neutral, 2 black. This enters, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Each black mana cost of permanents you control count toward your devotion to black. Oh shit. So if I have 10 mana spent of stuff in black, that's what it does to each opponent.
Yep. If it has to be the mana symbol, and it has to be on a permanent that's on the battlefield.
Okay. That's kind of cool. In standard, I don't know if this is actually gonna get played. Maybe at some point. I think there's just better stuff. In Commander, I mean, you're probably playing a lot of stuff if you're running this card. But I feel like people are gonna be very upset if you play this card because it's kind of just like, what am I gonna do against it? They just cast this and you're crying, so you need to counter immediately for this.
They don't love it.
I'm also thinking like you could just bounce this back.
Yeah. You
could like, they kill it, you bring it back to your graveyard, they're like crying, you just reanimate it, they're like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Okay, nuts cards. I think this is way better than the fucking Behemoth guy, but I'm coping. So let's see how much this is worth.
I am curious, did you grasp that the life you gain is equal to the amount of life your opponents lost combined?
I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was standard and it was just the one, but now that you say that, it's even better. All right, $80. $1.65. Is this dog? Or they just
It is a good card. Okay, every black deck, for the most part, loves Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and it is a good way to win the game. You do have to assemble a board similar to Crater Hoof, and you play this, and you drain everybody. And maybe the first time doesn't get them, but then bringing it back does. But it is an uncommon. It's a more affordable card, and it's affordable win con. So maybe that pushes you towards black kind of cards. I don't know, but I thought I wanted to include a win con that wasn't $40, right?
Right. No, I agree. That's good. I believe when I'm actually going to build my first commander deck, it will be a black one.
Ooh,
just because I like black's my favorite color so far.
Maybe I can change your mind. I've got a red win con for you.
Okay. What do you got? Insurrection, 5 neutral, 3 red. Untap all creatures and gain control of them until the end of turn. They gain ace. Until the end of turn. Damn.
Just take it all. Just take all their stuff.
And the commander mindset, how does it feel to lose a game to this compared to the merchant? Would you be more or less upset?
I guess it really does depend on how you like to die. and it depends on how long the game's been going, right?
I guess that's fair. If
I was going to untap and Crater Hoof and my opponent played Insurrection, oh my God.
I get this one's like really interesting because I think it's good, but it's also like significantly slower than the merchant. And like this card, I know this is gonna sound really stupid, but depending on what creatures are on the board, this may not even be that worth it.
That's not stupid. No, it's true. You don't see this card in those spots, right? They just hold them. And they just act sad when they die.
Yeah, so that makes me like, see, that's the thing in Hearthstone. Like people talk about like the played win rate of a card is the most important thing, because if it's not the play win, the drawn win rate of a card is the most important thing. Because if a card sits in your hand and you're not playing it because you're waiting for the win condition, you're waiting for the good moment, and you only play when there's a good moment. Is that card actually better than another card you could put into your deck? That's the question, right? Now, I'm not sure how good this card really is because, again, I've never played Commander. I don't think this is that insane as well. I'm sure this is a lot better than I think it is because there's 3 other people, but I'm not very high up on it. I think the Merchant's a lot better.
Okay,
but
that's legit. Let me throw out there. Let's say that 2 players have bad boards and 1 player has a great board. Because, I mean, it's Commander. What are the odds that everybody has a bad board? Not great, right? Like, somebody's popping. Somebody drew the Soul Ring every game, right? It always happens. Okay. So, worst case, this is often steal everything from the player who's ahead and knock them out with it. Just take out the player who is running away with the game.
Okay, so this is like targeting the guy, the rich person.
At best case, it's take them all out. At worst case, it's usually take out 1 person.
8 mana to kill someone. Yeah, that's a good rate to kill someone if that's what you're going for.
Last card. This is the blue win con. Maybe you've caught on that there's a blue tax. Maybe you've noticed.
Spending an extra mana?
Nah, blue prices tend to creep up. Like, blue is notorious for expensive staples.
Expropriate? Is that how you say that?
It is.
Okay, good. 7 neutral, 2 blue. Council's Dilemma. What is this? Start with you. Each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn after this one. For each money vote, choose a permanent owned by the voter and gain control of it, and then exile this. What the
Fun, right?
9 mana. Okay, so I gotta go. There's a lot of like simulations here. If all 3 players pick extra turn, you probably win the game. You kill somebody. Someone's dying for sure.
All 3 players? There's 4 players.
Oh, including you. You get to pick. So, oh, this is a cool card. It's very interesting. Your decision matters a lot, but honestly, is time worse or better than stealing a permanent? That's a great question. And then you get to keep control of it even after this exiles. Oh my God, I actually love this card. This card is so interesting.
Oh no, what have I done?
Is it good though? Okay, no, it has. Okay, hold on. If someone's dead, or they're out of the game, do they get the vote still, or are they just like? Okay, so with each less person in the game, so if there's only 2 people left in the game, am I okay getting like 2 extra turns? I mean, if I have 2 extra turns, the game's probably over. This seems like a win condition. Like the fucking, what is his name? The Behemoth? Nah. Nah. This card's crazy. All right, now the question is, how much is this worth? This is a card I don't think they would print a lot of. I'm gonna be honest. This seems like a card that you would be like, guys, do we really need more of these?
There are not many printings.
I'm gonna go with $60.
Okay.
$16, $20 Canadian.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It is a reliable win con. People hate this card. They hate this card so much.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
But yeah, usually you vote for the extra turn. If even one other player doesn't give you an extra gives you an extra turn, it's usually just game over. Like, you're gonna get multiple turns at this stage in the game. What most of the time happens is players reluctantly powwow decide what they're going to do, then vote for money, and you take a best permanent from each of them. And given that you have an extra turn because you vote for the extra turn, like typically you can leverage this into a win. Like most of the time, an expropriate ends up in victory.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, so we figured out what your win con is. It's expropriate.
So blue is okay. So the last thing I gotta tell you that, or I gotta ask you is, in terms of commanders for black and blue, who would you recommend?
Ooh. I don't know. Maybe we just have to throw some at you and see what you think in a future video.
Thank you so much for CardTrader for sponsoring this video. If you want to get 5% off your first order, use coupon code Rarran.